Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willis, your host. Thank you so kindly for being here. It's a big day. It's a big day because we know what has happened. So, welcome aboard, Maywood. Good afternoon, everyone. He says. Lee Grant says, hey, y'all. And of course, we have Melanie Keelan in from Barcelona, España. ¿Cómo estás, mi hermosa mujer? Then AVQ is here as well. Yvette Avery Herod. Yvette, yesterday I wanted to talk to you about Amazon in, I think, New Jersey that didn't pass, that decided to keep themselves enslaved to the corporatocracy. Someday we're going to have another chat and tell me what is the mindset of these people who would at any time, who could possibly refuse to be unionized. Maybe cost you 50 bucks a month, 60 bucks a month to ensure that you get $300 or $400 more a month. My God. Please, Miss Herod, you are going to have to explain to me the mindset because I just don't see it, but I always want to understand. Okay, let's start with Michael Rudnin and his commentary. Let's see, Egberto, it's going to be another single day issue, and this is a big one, the end result, conservative culture war. Yeah, I got you. I read you. Let's see where we go from here. Supreme Court has voted to overturn abortion rights. Draft opinion. That should be first time in my lifetime that the United States Supreme Court has decided to remove a constitutional protected right, and they're doing so with justices. We're going to talk a lot about that, my friends. 69% of Americans support abortion rights. I wrote that in an article today. In other words, we have a vast majority of Americans, Republicans and everybody else, support a woman's right to choose. And it's more than 69% if you remove certain parameters, meaning if you put more restrictions on the timing, which most of us don't have a problem with, right? So that's a problem. Michael Rodden also says there are around 1 million abortions per year, depending on your rate, in decline, some not reported. If most of those are forced to come to term, there is no way we'll have enough adoptions for all those unwanted children. Our country already has over 10 million children with food insecurity. And we have a government that wants you to tell women, you got to have these kids, whether you're raped, whether irrespective of the issues, you must have that kid. But guess what? When it comes to taking care of the born, not the unborn, oh, they are missing in action. Okay, Rodnan also says Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, tweeted, as we've warned, SCOTUS isn't just coming for abortion, they're coming for privacy. Roe rests on which includes gay marriage, civil rights. Mention is blockade Congress codifying Roe. House has seemingly forgotten about Clarence Thomas. These 2 points must change. Michael Renner also says, I have a feeling a lot of women are about to vote Democratic in the next election because of this issue. Egberto, one of for the screen. All right, Redden, I'm going to put that up on the screen because it is prescient, my brother. It is prescient. So let's go ahead and put Rodnin's piece here on the screen because I think it's something we want to. Oh, where is it? Please don't crash on me now. Let's see what we got here. Chrome. Let's see. Let's see if it'll show it. Oh, it looks like it may be having some problems to show that. Well, next time, Rudden and I, for some reason, it's not working to show. Oh, it is on the screen. There we go. I don't know what's wrong with me. Maybe I'm getting old. There we go. From Rudden, it says, now you know why voting for Republicans will condemn your daughter to fight in the same battles your grandmother won. I love the way they say that. We are having to refight issues after issues after issues. We shouldn't have to do that. Thank you for that one, Rodnin. That's a very good one. All right, let me continue. Let me go back to my peeps, my peeps, my peeps. Lee Grant, welcome. AVQ, Melanie Keel, and Daniel Ledoux. A great day for babies. A great day for black babies especially. I know they like to use that as an excuse. They care for black babies before they are born, before they are actually, in my opinion, alive, right? As blastocysts or whatever it's called, fetuses, etc. They love it. Oh, we are saving black babies. No, sir. while the percentage of abortions for black babies is larger than the percentage for, let's say, white Americans abort a lot more babies. And not only that, we have a tendency to not realize that those that are affluent, their abortions go unnoticed, unspecified, etc. So while if you're on public assistance or you're using Planned Parenthood, etc., all those numbers are counted. For those people of means that go off to Mexico or go off to Canada or go off to Jamaica or go on a vacation to Haiti or go on a vacation somewhere, it's not counted. Again, this this particular rule is going to just affect people, the economy of many people. And no man should be telling a woman, no man should be telling a woman what she should do with her body or what's inside of her body. It's her body. Nobody have the right to say that. It's amazing that the Republicans or the party that wants to stay out of your bedroom, they want you to be private. But we want to tell you what to do with your insides. We want to tell you what you can do. What hypocrisy, my dear brothers and sisters. E2247 says, hello, relatives. Today's visit will be the greatest ever visit, as usual. Love you, brother. I love you. I love you. I love you. All right, we also have Lee Grant, my conservative brother, says, RGB herself disliked the Roe versus Wade decision. That is true. And I think the court the court hasn't caught up with her because she would never have gotten rid of Roe v. Wade. She thought that the country wasn't there in the way it was done. She wanted a law, national law written. And as it turns out, that is the message that Democrats need to start pushing. Absent a Democratic Senate, absent a Democratic Congress, absent a Democratic president, Republicans will pass a law that will be national that says the following. What's occurring in Alabama? What will occur here in Texas, right? What will occur here in Texas with these laws that are going to now take effect immediately thereafter the law passes will occur around the country. Okay, so let's be clear here. Rudnin says, Egberto, what you said reminded me of a tune pardon. Yet another one for the screen. Rudnin, what are you doing to me, Rudnin? Let's see. That one I'll show later, Rudnin. That one I'll show later. Continuing. It's not so much from Maywood. It's not so much that the majority supports abortion rights, so much as they support a woman's right to choose and decide. And that's the thing. I have a daughter. Would I want my daughter jumping around having abortions? No, because that would have told me that I didn't teach my daughter responsibility or that she didn't adopt the responsibility that I taught. You have to be responsible. I mean, I've heard my daughter said a few times, who gets pregnant right now with all the things that we have? But we know that everybody's not responsible, etc. Right? But I'll be damned if I feel like I have the right to tell any woman what to do with her body. I can't. So if 69% of Germans want to kill Jews, that makes it okay. Strange logic, Egberto. No, you see, false equivalences. A fetus is not born. A fetus does not have a birth certificate. A fetus does not have any of these things. And women abort fetuses many times every several cycles. That's a fact. Look it up. Eggs get fertilized and thrown out all of the times. The body is a magical thing, you know? So no, that is a false equivalence. Completamente so. All right, let's see. RGB, yes. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, I understand. Rudnin to Daniel Edo, you take the Nazi side on that issue, wouldn't you? I'm not going to get involved with you all's little private war, guy. All right, Michael says the affluent would take medical vacations to get an abortion. The poor don't have that luxury. It's just like healthcare, right? Healthcare is going through the gazoo right now. When people of good means decide that they don't want to afford what it's going to cost here in the United States, they can get better care by going to Costa Rica, by going to India, where they have what the convalescent places for the wealthy. They can go get their plastic surgery, their breast removes, all these things from very competent, great doctors that would work over here without a problem. But they go over there and get treated. I mean, we are constantly putting the burden. It is almost like we hate the poor. We hate the poor. We hate the people that aren't the majority population, maybe. Okay, let's see. Daniel Little said, okay, then a great day for racist white babies as well. Oh boy. Oh boy. Daniel, it is true what a friend of mine said. Most of the times I think you come here to get, and by the way, I want you to keep coming, but you really like the attention that you get. So I'll minimize wherever, or not minimize, I will answer everybody's comment that I get through time with time helping, but I won't make you pull strings. I mean, a few people have said to me, Egberto, for some people you pull too many strings to be the nice person that you are. So I will mitigate that. And to all of those who've noticed that I've done that too many times, forgive me. But you know, I love to include everybody, and I will continue to include everybody. All right, continuing. Paul Fleming says, ATL checking in. My brother in Atlanta. You know, I'm going to be driving back to Houston when I'll be driving back to Houston sometime, I believe in June or whatever, when my daughter flies back to Houston. So if we can get a chance to meet in Atlanta, Paul, when I'm going through, I'll let you know my schedule just so I can say hi, have some coffee, take some pictures with you, and we move on. So let me know about that. I think I will be driving through Atlanta. Good chance I'll do that. I'll let you know. Hi, Coop 333. How welcome aboard. No more right to privacy in your doctor's office. Republican small government wants to tell your doctor what is allowed. Yes. Jamie Miller Boggs is it's a medical decision between a woman and her doctor. Corazon mia. I agree. You're right. Maywood says, worst part, that it would mostly only really affect poor people. Exactly. It's always the case. We support the nation, the poor people, the middle class are the ones that make this country run, and we continue to allow those we vote for, which there are most of us, to somehow. We got to get smart, guys. We got to get smart now. Let's continue. Welcome aboard, by the way. Hi, Coop333 and Jamie Miller Boggs. Welcome aboard. And Daniel Lado, I don't think I said welcome, so welcome aboard as well. All right, let's see. What else? ¿Qué más tenemos aquí? Something else, like calling it a DNC. Same procedure, same results, but because they have money, they can disguise it just by calling it something else. You know, I never thought about that, but you're right about that. Oh, wow. You're so right about that, brother. Samuelito matters only that he's legally and historically shoddy, by which I mean Alito didn't even care about making a convincing argument before taking away constitutional protection. What is so funny about it is with I'm going to play a piece by Lawrence O'Donnell and Michael Maddow that's going to show that they may the way it's written, he may have bitten off too much because he may hurt progressives in a lot of issues, but the same arguments are going to be used to hurt corporations. I didn't hear O'Donnell say it right, but I see with the way it was written, and I haven't read the whole quasi opinion, but the way it was written, you know, corporations are people, right? Guess what? We have been trying to remove the veil from corporations. We don't want corporations to have personhood, but guess what? We may just be able to legally use getting rid of abortion to take care of corporations as well. You always have to watch out when you do things. And Alito, with his 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 quasi intellectual self. You know, he likes to play when he likes to put that face on as if he knows what the hell he's talking about. When we know where the intellect lies, with the two, with the all the progressives women now, with the three progressive women, that's where the intellect on the Supreme Court lies. And Roberts has some as well. All right, let's continue. We know that Clarence Thomas is probably the dumbest person on the Supreme Court. I mean, I mean, I don't. Well, anyway, continuing. Lee Grant says, "Do women themselves?" Well, Paul Fleming says, to do what? Live in poverty when the mother clearly knows she's not wealthy. All right, let's see. Lee Grant says, "Do women themselves have any agency when it comes to pregnancy, or is it just something that happens randomly?" No, women always have agency. Do you have agency with your prostate? Do you have agency with your penis? I'm sure you do. But the things that we want to control women about, let's make this deal. Why don't we stop you from being able to sow your oats somewhere? You know, maybe the woman was told that your oats weren't oatiful. No, 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 no. You see, these things only happen because it's not going to negatively affect men. That's all. You don't ever see anything like this affecting men, right? I mean, if you want to go ahead and force a woman to have the child, at the same time, you should have commensurate with that law. You should find the person who is going to be the dad and put his wealth in escrow, right? Or if you can't find, or the person who's going to do that in escrow, since you are imposing upon that woman an economic something that she necessarily didn't want, then you should take care of what she said she could not or does not want to take care of, right? But no, that will never come up because we'll not, my daughter showed me a TikTok today, and it was a woman talking to a man who wants abortion eliminated in all cases. And the TikTok went like this. Okay, suppose the woman is raped. Does she have to have the child? Yes. Suppose she's about to die. Does she have to have the child? Yes. Suppose the child is deformed. Does she have to have the child? Yes. Suppose you had an affair and and your mistress got pregnant and wanted to have an abortion. Does she have to have the child? Dead silence. And my daughter said, "Did you look at the caption?" It said, "Loud silence." The silence was loud. You see, it's an anti empathetic thing that says somehow they have a false sense of morality when it's only about that woman. But when the guy is going to get affected by the inability for there to be an abortion, suddenly things change. Suddenly things change, right? All right, let's see what else we have here. Ledo says, "I find it suspicious that this comes up now when our social and political fabric is already extremely stressed. Could this finally see the rip apart?" No, because again, there's no rip apart when 69% of Americans support it. So therefore, a rip apart means that if there's some sort of a riff on this issue, 29% of you guys are in the minority. You know what that means? That there are a hell of a lot more of us than there are of you. But that's nothing new. Progressive values are in the majority in this country. It's just that this country is ruled by the minority. Read the blog post that I wrote today. I spoke in detail about, in fact, I am going to miss some of my videos because I want to get to this blog. I must read. I wrote this blog post this morning. It was really on my mind, and I will. I want to because most of you don't necessarily read blogs and that kind of stuff, right? What I want to do is, if I can pull it up, I am going to uh, I'm going to make that blog a piece of the show today because it's not long, but it's important. Very, very important what I'm going to talk about here. So let me go ahead and pull that up real quick. And the title of the blog that I wrote was called let's see. Come on, stop, 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 stop. You're not supposed to be on. Here it goes. The title is Roe versus Wade Overturned is the latest result of minority rule and women will die. I'm going to read it real fast, guys. America is not a democracy. The founders designed it to allow a select minority to rule. In other words, minority rule. Every state gets 2 senators, which means that the most populous state, California, with 39.1 million people, has the same number of senators as the least populous state with 578,000 people, which is, you know what? Wyoming. California is 67 times the size of Wyoming. In other words, it is 6,700% larger than Wyoming. Every Wyomingite is equivalent to 67 Californians. That isn't democracy. The undemocratic nature of the Senate is even more profound because of the purposeful rules that the U.S. Constitution does not sanction. The Senate forces itself to require supermajorities to move most lawmaking forward. Progressives and non-neoliberal Democrats cannot pass substantive economic and social programs targeted at the poor and middle class because of the difficulty of getting support for policies for the average American. The electoral college formula extends the undemocratic nature. Whatever. The electoral college formula extends the undemocratic nature of America. The procedure for determining the number of votes each state gets is simple. Each state gets 2 voters for its 2 U.S. senators, and there's one more additional vote for each member it has in the House of Representatives. So as you can see, the electoral college already is biased to small states. Once again, it means that electing a United States president is undemocratic, as well as it gives small states, which are more often right-wing states, an undemocratic advantage. So, nearly 70% of Americans support Roe versus Wade, a woman's right to control her body. The Supreme Court overturn of Roe versus Wade is a coalescence of our undemocratic system and minority rule. I'm not going to read the rest except for this. What does overturning Roe Wade means? It means justices appointed by presidents who did not win the vote of most Americans are overturning a ruling that about 70% of Americans support. That is the definition of minority rule. That is the definition of the failure of democracy. Again, I want to repeat that. Think about this. 4 Supreme Court justices that were placed on the Supreme Court by 2 presidents who were not elected by the majority of Americans are overturning a ruling that 70% of Americans see as constitutional and want. You know, when you have a lot of people that walk around and say things like my vote don't matter, all that kind of stuff, anybody now who thinks their vote doesn't matter have to remember that those doing minority rule has always known one thing. Their votes don't only matter. Their vote, in the case of California, is worth 6 to 7 times less than the person's vote in Wyoming. So therefore, anybody who is listening to me right now, everybody who is listening to me right now, you got to go to your family, your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your uncle, your nephew, your friends, and everybody who thinks that they don't matter. Let me look at how simple things would have been. I want to show you how different things would have been. In 2016, had Hillary Clinton campaigned in Michigan, had Hillary Clinton campaigned in Wisconsin appropriately, those 76,000 votes combined that caused her to lose that election would mean that we would not have had Gorsuch getting onto the Supreme Court instead of whom again? Instead of to replace Alito, not Alito, to replace Antonin Scalia. If we have all these ifs in there. All these ifs in there. It wasn't Gorsuch for Scalia. Yeah, I think it was Gorsuch for whatever the case is, you understand my point. So if Hillary had just gotten those 76,000 votes, and then we wouldn't have had Trump assigning three Supreme Court justices. We would not have had an Alito put out there by Bush. All of that for not just a little bit more votes from progressives, from Democrats, just a little bit more, because there's a lot more of us. But again, we require a super majority to effect the changes we want. They can just get Wyoming and Montana and North Dakota and South Dakota. It's even easy for them, right? They get the full two senators, the two electoral college votes from senators, and whatever one or two or three House votes that they get in the electoral college. People. We have to. These are things that we have to teach people to ensure that they vote. Okay. Democrats could pass a law codifying abortion rights at the federal level if they follow a scientific viewpoint and fetal development and viability. Legal will be 26 weeks. I agree. But you know something else, sir? The thing about it is when we're cutting our own throats, like Manchin has a block on the national law to make abortion legal in all 50 states. So there you go. Hi Coop says, why unborn don't get child support at conception? Do they get a passport, SSN? What gender are they? You're a smart man. Rose Williams, how you doing, my beautiful Rose? Welcome aboard. Michael Ren says natural miscarriage rate is 15%. Didn't know that. Daniel Ledo says, Paul Fleming, how about she keep her wap shut? Look at how you talk about women. Why don't he put his rod where it belongs and keep his rod where it belongs? Why are you going to blame the woman? Okay? Everybody likes it. Women and men alike. Thank you. Dave Smith, the Democrats are behind all this. They know that will get the crazies ginned up. Okay, let me see how they do this, all right? It's not the Democrats are going to say get rid of Roe versus Wade. It's the Republicans who are fighting for it. That it released early. I'm hoping that it was a progressive who put that out there. Because otherwise, you know what it would tell me? If it was a conservative who put the leak out there, it would mean that a couple of people who thought, uh, after they got over their crazy, they realized how crazy it was. E2247 says, see oral argument. There's never a doubt that Casey was going to be effectively overturned. Only suspense concerns scope of rights SCOTUS eliminates and how John Roberts will truly vote. Supposedly, John isn't going to vote for it. Okay, we have Paul Fleming says, just let me know and we'll make it happen. I'll let you know, Paul, when I'm getting into town. If our path take us through Atlanta, I'll let you know for sure. Paul Fleming says, it's the first day to early vote and I have. And Paul, now that you have voted, it's not enough, brother. It's not enough. Yvette Avery Herod, you're in Atlanta. That's right. So we are all going to meet up in Atlanta. We are all going to meet up in Atlanta. Yvette Avery Herod and Paul Fleming. Yeah, we're going to do it, guys. Tom C. The GOP Supreme Court wants to replace the U.S. Constitution with Christian Sharia law and U.S. democracy with theocracy. And look, Tom, there's something that you've mentioned before. I don't remember if you mentioned it here. You mentioned it in our Ask Egberto anything. But you spoke about before that, in effect, I think it was you at least. What's the difference between that and the Taliban? You know? Robert Davenport says, hello, progressives. How are you doing, Robert, brother Robert? Hi, Coop. Hi, Cool 333. Welcome aboard. Can Republicans name a law that tells only men what they can and can't do with their own bodies? I'll wait. They can't. It doesn't exist. It does not exist. We could say certain things that if men do certain things, it destroys their. Well, I won't even go there. Haiku also said, suppose a mother already had kids at home and to raise. Should she die because she needs an abortion to live? Some family values, Republicans. Look, again, the thing about it is, I was talking to somebody about empathy. When your mind does not know about empathy, it's a problem. Because it's not only a problem that you make the wrong choices, It's also a problem altogether. Lee Grant says if women have the sole right to decision about the reproduction, then theoretically they could end human existence. Sorry, both men and women have skin in this game. No, 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 no. They can end existence. Yes, you're right. If women were the ones who determine all of that, yeah, you know what? Don't talk to the women about that. You can't force that they have power. You have power too, right? You could hold back. So it is a false argument because you can say you could if you could end civilization as well by saying I'm just not going to fertilize any eggs, and they can say I'm just not going to let any eggs be fertilized. What's the difference between that and an abortion, right? So what I'm saying is that's a false argument, Brother Lee Grant, because the same option that she has, whether not giving you some punteng or or aborted, is the same thing you have by saying I'm not giving my thing up. Same difference. Michael Rodden says, Egberto, the video, but you know, I want to show you how men think though, Lee. And I'm saying this with respect, brother. But you see, you don't see that you have a choice in sowing your oats or not. You don't even see that as a problem. You're a man. You can do as you please. But once a woman is uh, given agency, if it's an agency that somehow make you feel a little somehow, you feel like you should be able to control that woman's agency. Do you see the hypocrisy there? And this is not you, Lee Grant, specifically. This is a man's mentality. It's something that I had myself, that I had to get over to see that there are so many things that we are tunnel vision in seeing it just from a man's view and not saying, well, if I have agency in this, a woman should have agency as well. You know, absolutely so. Continuing haiku, Lee Grant, seconds of skin for most men. That is the extent of their reproductive involvement. Peggy Lopez says, Restreambot is that why there are more single women raising children than single men. It's funny, right? The men run, and the women somehow, with that, you know, I had a board meeting, a side board meeting today, and I told one of the women on the board, I can't wait till this board is fully controlled by women because we'll have less testosterone trying to see who have the bigger Peter or whatever. You know, I'm at that point now where I'm actually seeing a lot of stuff some women have been telling me for a long time, and I see it. You know, I see it. But you know, I started this for a while long because I told my daughter one time, "Hey, you go ask your pastor, why can't a woman be the preacher?" Well, that pastor, I tell you, man, he must have said, Egberto, sorry, fooey. Women are preachers in my church. So, oops, okay, brother. All right. Empty Wheel thinks the most illogical explanation for leak is the Roberts trying to get colleagues to adopt a less radical opinion. Huh. Robert, David, man, you know it's 4:37 already. You guys are running my show, and I have 4 videos, 2 from yesterday and 2 for today. But you guys are more interesting, so I'll let those ride for now. Minority Rule, aka American Apartheid, is knocking at the door. Voting rights being undermined was their first blood step. Dems did not unite to stop this. Women's rights are the current target. Wake up. Davenport hits the nail on the head. On the head. Carl Cox says conservative Christian heterosexual white will have their laws passed and enforced. Science, females, non Christian, religion, minorities, non heterosexual people, democracy will suffer, are doomed. No, 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 no. I want you guys to remember this. There are more, first of all, the world is great. The world is not majority white. We have the impression in the United States of America that the world is majority white. If it were, no big deal, but it's not. I mean, the world is majority nothing. We're all a blend, and it makes it beautiful. There are Chinese out there. There are Indians out there. There are all these different people of different levels of colorization. Beautiful, beautiful. It's just that the center that we are in right now in the world's history, it seems that way. But you know what, man? We're all in this game, sis, bruds. We're all in this game. We're all in this game. Bruce says, let's see, I know it is hard to do, but we have to change the Constitution or deal with the issue on the state level. We've been trying to do that. I was a part of Move to Amend, and got the 28th Amendment supported by various congresspeople, sorry, and a few senators sponsored our version of the 28th Amendment. But you'll never get it in today's world because of the Constitution. It's so difficult to change the Constitution. We have this stuff known as the compact, the interstate compact, I think it's called, or something like that, where that one handles the electoral college without having to change the constitution. We're going to have to find ways around it, and I think that is sort of what you're implying when you say we have to change the constitution or deal with it issue on the state level, and we'd have to find a state level way to do it. You're correct, but when it comes to things like abortion, where the procedure occur in the state, if a state says you can't have it, there's no national way to enforce it other than carrying people across borders to do it. So that's it. Patricia E. Farker says the base issue is for beyond sovereignty, ownership of one's own self, birth certificate, not ownership, papers, marriage license, not ownership, papers, who owns you? You own you. Patricia, you own you. And all of us should support you owning you. California, 39 million is the most populous than the 20 smallest states. Yeah, I do know. Than the 49. Oh, I get what you mean. Great. Paul Fleming says, we are at the halfway point. Yeah, we are. I better do my ass before I completely forget, right? Thank you, Paul. Folks, please, please,
I'm
please.
Egberto Willis, as host of Politics Done Right, a progressive radio media show on Pacifica Network's KPFT 90.1 FM Houston that engages all ideologies. I found that our political angst isn't mostly ideological. There is a well-designed effort by many in power to control us. If we are at each other's throats, we are less likely to demand our economic and local wishes. In that light, I wrote 3 books. I wrote the first one titled, As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, to describe the entire economy in a manner we can all understand. It highlights why it was designed to pilfer most as it empowers a few, the chosen. The second book, titled, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, take it to the next level. After understanding how the system pilfers, it is incumbent that we can speak to our peers to empower a change. The third book, How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, gives us a place to land. After learning about our economy that is dysfunctional for most and learning how to engage the other side, we point out what would make an economy that works for all. Each book stands on its own, but together they provide the full picture. Please consider getting one or more. You will undoubtedly learn, be entertained, and help us continue the mission with our blogs, articles, videos, and books. I'm Egberto Willis, as host of...
Thank you so kindly, guys. I'm going to be quick here because I want to get back to our subject at hand. You can support us by either, if you're on YouTube, just click the join button. Please, please, please become a member. Get Egberto a coffee or so a month. That would be a great thing to help us continue to push the message that we are pushing here. Visit our website, blogs, etc., because I promise you, we're doing the hard work necessary to educate and to inflict change. Go to politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Patreon is for Patreon. Politicsdoneright.com/Patreon, Patreon, and you can become a patron if you so kindly would be able to help us. Likewise, consider going to politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. That's the best way to support us. You can either do it at one time or do it monthly, however you choose. Our books, you can find our books at politicsdoneright.com/books. And you can find our memorabilia, like our t-shirt. You see how I have here with our logo, the Politics Done Right logo and all that good stuff. We have t-shirts, we have cups, all that kind of stuff, some designed by you right here in the store. Just visit our store at politicsdoneright.com/store, politicsdoneright.com/store. And lastly but not least, there's a all-encompassing way to find all the ways that you can support us. Just go to politicsdoneright.com/support, politicsdoneright.com/support. Thank you so kindly. Okay, let's get back to the program because I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. Rose Williams says the following: I find it ironic that some years ago there was a woman who, together with her husband, at the time used intravitreal fertilization to produce a number of embryos. She had to have a medical procedure that would prevent her from getting pregnant in the future. Hmm. Wow. Okay. Have journalists repeating uh, McConnell's order to cover just the leak, not the content of opinion? Ask him whether the abuse of shadow docket has already discredited. The court has been discredited. Said, well, look, I don't know. Some of you may be too young. The court was discredited in the year 2000 when they gave the election to Bush, even though we are absolutely certain Bush didn't win the election. Every single person that has won the election with we won't go there. Rose Williams, continue with Rose Williams' narrative. Their marriage went sour because it was something was interspace. I didn't realize it. Their marriage went sour, and she wanted to have one more child on her own, since they had viable embryos that could be implanted. Her ex-husband would not allow it, and the court ruled that the embryos had to be destroyed. Sorry that exchange is in pieces. No, no, no. That's a very, very important narrative that you just placed out there, because you shut a whole lot of folks down here when you pointed out that the supposed, again, it is up to the man, right? This woman already gave her eggs and it's fertilized. And this guy says, no, I'm no longer with her and I don't want my oats there with somebody else. Nobody asked you to have any legal responsibility for that baby. But the court said no. What I would have done if I was her, I wouldn't even have asked the damn guy. I would have just told him, hey, throw this stuff in me and let's go have the baby. But it's a shame because the embryos, what's the difference between the embryos at a few days to the embryos at, let's say, 2 weeks or 3 weeks, 6 weeks, eight? Yeah, you get the point. Thank you for that one, Rose. That is apropos. I'm telling you, Rose, you always bring me some good stuff. Carl Cox, first women reproductive rights gone. Next, voting rights, then Medicare, Medicaid. No, 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 no. Look, stop it. Everybody here, stop it. Let me tell you what I mean by that. We don't we don't seed. In fact, tomorrow I probably am going to be talking about Democrats seeding the rural areas. Democrats doing all these. We have the policies Americans want, and I'm not talking. I shouldn't even say Democrats. I should say progressives. We have the policies that America want. We have concerted effort by neoliberal Democrats and Republicans and the fascists and the plutocrats to make sure that our ideas seem extreme when the ideas that are extreme are theirs. Their ideas are the ones that are extreme. Living on your back is extreme. Let's not fall for it. The people that are extreme are not the progressives. The people that are extremes are the capitalists who are telling you that we want to extract all we can, whatever the market will bear. That's why we can charge $5, $6, $7 for gasoline. And what does that mean? That is picking your pocket legally. Picking your pocket legally because they can. They extract oil that belongs to us all and then charges us. People say, well, that's for innovation. That's not for innovation. Most of that innovation was developed by universities. Most of that innovation was developed by grants, by your tax dollars already. Don't fall for that crap, please. You have paid for everything several times over, and they continue to get you over and over. Why is taking care of medicine? Why do we have all these different permutations to get into medicine? So that the capitalists and plutocrats can make money. Why would you want to add costs by having all these different things in healthcare when you just have to pay a damn bill? Folks, we have to reframe our thinking from what they have told us to think. That's what I'm doing here. That's what I'm begging you to listen to. That's what I'm begging you to share. That's what I'm begging you to get into the ethos. Right? Continuing, Peggy Lopez. The totally control women's agency, the next step is to remove birth control. Carl Cox, the loss of reproductive rights will have direct implication for privacy rights. And that's a magic AVQ. That is what, and I tell you what, I'm going to spend the time now and play Rachel Maddow. What Rachel Maddow and Lawrence O'Donnell in this little conversation at their switch over, what they had to say was one of the most substantive things in probably 2 minutes or so that was said about the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade. Yeah, everybody's going crazy. But I want you guys to listen to Rachel Maddow and right here, because what they're saying here is prescient, very important. Check this out. We'll take it on the other side.
We'll just say in terms of the real world impact on women's lives, Congressman Jamie Raskin raised a really good point about the reasoning in this opinion, which again is a draft opinion, but the way that this is written, it undoes a woman's right to decide whether or not she's going to carry a pregnancy to term. But this also absolutely creates the circumstance in which it is possible for them to undermine, to overturn a related ruling called Griswold, which is about the right of people to have access to contraception, even if certain state legislatures decide that contraception is evil, or that we want to call contraception abortion, or we want to otherwise make it unavailable to people. It's a straight line from this ruling not only to banning abortion instantly and potentially nationally, but to also preventing Americans from accessing birth control in a ruling that is argued along the same lines as the established precedents that are struck down in this opinion. And it's a fundamentally different world if this happens.
And included in this fundamentally different world is what the other part of what we're experiencing tonight is minority government, minority ruled government. And the Supreme Court is the most incredible exemplar of that. You have these judges appointed to the Supreme Court by two presidents who did not win the most votes in their presidential election. George W. Bush appointed the justice who wrote this opinion. He did not win the most votes in his presidential election, but he won the Electoral College. And then you have Donald Trump appointing three of these deciding justices. He did not come close to winning the most votes, but he got the presidency in this country because of this capacity for minority rule in our government, which is what the United States Senate is about every day of every year. More people vote for Democrats for the United States Senate, but Republicans end up either in control of it with fewer people voting for them for those seats, or, as we see now, in a 50-50 position. This is a minority-controlled government. This is the product of that.
You know what, man? Good minds think alike. It's funny because I started writing an article at Medium that talked about the justices that spoke about minority rule. In fact, several years ago, I wrote about, during the Trump administration, I wrote about how the Republicans are going to have to use the judiciary to control us because they just don't have the numbers anymore. And it's coming to pass. And then when I started writing that and I heard that on Lawrence O'Donnell, I'm like, Lawrence, I think you're spying on me, brother. But no, I'm kidding. But anyhow, it is interesting. That is some of the most important pieces that we need to get out of Roe versus Wade being overturned. It's not just about abortions. It's about minority rule. It's about the Supreme Court doing what they please, irrespective of what most American people want, irrespective of what the Constitution demands. It's about also making sure that they remain in power. All of that together. Folks, we can further discuss this. Don't forget, this week's on Saturday, it's going to be what again? Ask Egberto Anything. Ask Egberto Anything. Please sign up. I just put the link in there. politicsdoneright.com/Ask Egberto. politicsdoneright.com/Ask Egberto. Let's have some fun. Come on in, whether you're left, right, in the middle, anarchist, communist, socialist, whatever, libertarian. I don't care what you are. I love to entertain the conversation because that is what it's all about. All right, let's see. I may have skipped a few things. Let's see. Egberto, what's the difference between embryos and certain points of development? Would you actually like to know? Here is the week by week. Thank you, brother, for pulling that out. We can always trust you to do that. Rose Williams says, when I was pregnant with my oldest son, I started going into premature labor at 22 weeks, but I had a low placenta with a weak attachment, could have bled to death within minutes until, did you continue that, Rose? Months later, when they were able to strengthen the attachment, a woman I know had the same problem and bled to death, leaving a husband and 3 children. Exactly. I knew the risk and I took the risk. It was my decision, but I wouldn't ask any other woman to take that chance unless it is what they want to do. Notice I searched to make sure you finished your thread, even though we had interspace. Charlie Lindahl says, Good point about progressives, not just DR labels. I am supporting a Republican in California who does support some progressive policies, including climate fees, free childcare. I would only support what you're doing there, Charlie. Well, you can do whatever you want, but I would only support that concept of supporting a progressive Republican if if the corresponding Democrat isn't progressive. And the reason why I am saying that is that in as much as you can elect Republicans that are good right now, they fall under the Trump umbrella and they vote under the Trump umbrella. So I am telling all my listeners right now, unless you can prove that that Republican is going to vote with progressives in the House, in the Senate, no, absolutely no Republican should get your vote. No Republican should get your vote or support unless you are fairly sure that that person is going to buck the Republican system, that they're going to say, I am really a Republican. That is my culture. But I have to put democracy first. And I won't vote for if McConnell becomes head, I won't vote for McConnell. If Mac whatever becomes the head of the House, Kevin McCarthy, I won't vote for him. That is my stopgap measure. If you support a Republican, and I repeat this, and I want to be clear on this with friends and foes. Well, I don't have foes, but you know what I'm saying. If you vote for a Republican, and that Republican is part of the numbers that hurt us all, remember, you're part of hurting us all. That's all. All right, let's see. Tom C says, always like your comment. Let's see what else to say. Egberto, however, the neocons are the majority on the U.S. Supreme Court and in red states, so they can control who gets elected and controls. No, no, and no. Carl Cox, brother Carl Cox. That is a mindset I am trying to change here. Everybody says, you know what? When you say that, you are saying Americans are stupid, and I'll be. When you say that, you're saying Americans are stupid. I do not think Americans are stupid at all. I think they're ill-informed, and I think there are psychological games that are used on Americans that they work. Hey, you have psychological games that could work on me. If for some reason I'm not made aware, it has before, and I've gotten out of it. Our job, brother Cox, is to go out there and make sure that we neutralize the message that the neocons would inculcate in the minds. That's why I am not for Democrats leaving rural America or just saying to hell with those people on the right or to hell with those in rural America. And I'm going to do a piece from Chuck Todd tomorrow, I hope. And the reason why is you have to engage them. You may only get to talk to 5 or 10% that sees the light, but it's 10 or 5% that you need, right? Let's not seed anything by saying, the plutocrats control the red states. No, let's not do it. You get growth by planting seeds. Even if today you only get 5%, that 5% may be teachers of teachers later on and slowly build up. You know, I'm going to tell you who knows that. Guess who knows that? The Republicans know that because their policies are so lousy. They hurt so many people. But you know how they do it? One person at a time. It took them 50 years, but they were consistent in working to overthrow Roe v. Wade by getting what they wanted done, and they did it with a minority. They didn't do it with most people, the majority of people. They did it with a minority. But you see, some people get mad when I blame Democrats for a lot of things, but I do. We sometimes are too darn, not pragmatic, but we don't understand what's the word that I want to use? Humanity in a lot of ways. We don't understand how you get to people's heart. And that's what we got to do, man. We have to get to people's hearts. LKF, welcome aboard. I'm always harping on this. If the tail is wagging the dog, minority rule pisses me off. I love that. Okay, let's see. Tom C says, appreciate personal comments. Rose Williams, Look what the Utah Democrats are doing. Yeah, the Utah Democrats decided to support what's his name? They gave up on the Republican and they're going with the independent. The question is, let's see how he's going to do. We'll see. Charlie Lindell, I believe in the guy I'm backing in election. Great. He's been a strong citizen climate lobby member for 8 years, consistent. Good. As long as you know he's not going to hurt us. Got to scoot now. Have a good one, brother Charlie. Obama fleeing to Sanford to proclaim urgency of policing disinformation on social media is only 8 years late and totally self-serving. He's also ridiculous in these two most recent decades. Well, you know, the ex-president that I love the most is an old 90-something-year-old ex-president called Jimmy Carter. And the reason I like Jimmy Carter is because Jimmy Carter goes out there and he goes around the world to make sure that elections are democratic, or used to when he was still healthy. He's still to this day out there helping the poor building houses. To this day, he still talks against the defense industrial complex. And to this day, no Wall Street corporation is going to give him $400,000 to go ahead and give a speech. And you know why? Because he cannot be bought. Jimmy Carter. If you want to know our most honest ex-president, our most honest president, bar none, Jimmy Carter. And if every president could learn something from Jimmy Carter, then we would be in a much different place. But every president thus far has learned that after the presidency, they prefer the luxurious, great life that it brings. You know what Carter understood? He could stay in his, and I'm not even a church guy, but he taught at his same Sunday school, little rinky-dinky house, Sunday school. He lived an humble life, even though Secret Service has to be there with him. But you would never know. I'm not asking Obama or Trump or Bush #2 to go ahead or Clinton to go build houses like Carter. But by God, there's a lot more that you could do to show that, you know, you could speak up against the capitalist structure that is killing people, as opposed to in the background claiming you're trying to make it better. You know, that's all we got to do. But anyway, it's 5 o'clock. I got to get out of here. Look, folks, I love you all. My lefties, my righties, my everything is, okay? Please share the program. Please let everybody know about us. Please support the program. Please make sure that we are funded. I ask you kindly, because this can only continue. This can only happen with your support. So please consider going to politicsdoneright.paypal, and support the very best that you can, or go to our Patreon, or just go to our support page and say, this is the way that I'm going to support Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number 1, subscribe to our channel, and number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please.